On Skin, Holly Winter-Hughes. The needle punches the skin, drawing up the depths of story, bleeding into burning colour, laying souvenirs of living out bare, rooted in skin, planted like kisses, ready to bloom, scattering seeds of conversation, the fibres of life, the thrum of being, framed by the roll of muscle, each filament of hair fraying the rigid hardness of the preserved past as it softens against the whispered salvage. This man is a canvas. He wears another's art on his skin. The needle punctuates his story. His words weave through the tension. Take your hand and place it on his ribcage, the very warp of him. His parents' lifelong friends, ex-lovers, form the bone of his foundations. Everything he ever loved was introduced to him by one of them. Feel them pulse here. Reach deeper, the pull of the weft, where places, landscapes, homes are buried. The light in autumn reminds him of every place where he ever felt completely himself. Wearing your heart on your sleeve is too disposable, unless it's captured in ink. Our selfies reflect our throwaway culture unless we preserve them in thread and print. My tattoos show tales of loss, permanent keepsakes of the things that didn't last. Each dot completes the question mark that we encourage. We're allowed to ask, why the owl, why the anchor, why the scallop shell? We don't ask, why the scars? Where does the sadness start? What trauma do you carry in your body? I want to hear your story in pictures. I want to hear your skin out loud. We don't listen to men enough, and they wash off our skin like a working day or a single regretful night. My brother didn't have tattoos. He kept his stories on the inside, strings of secrets. His blood ran with the unspoken. He talked about everything apart from what mattered. His last words to us written on his skin, a temporary embellishment that refuses to fade. We are here for the stories that don't get heard. We are here for the stories that don't get shown. The needle punches the silence, releases the breath, the words wrap your tongue. Here I am, healing. The needle draws out our depths, lays us bare. The needle bites the fabric. The artist caught each thread of these men's lives between gentle, inquisitive fingers. He has disassembled them with his gaze. He has rebuilt them with his nurturing touch, watching, observing, validating. The cotton beneath his palms becomes their skin. Each thread a life sentence, dancing through their hair, tripping down the contours of definition in each chest, defining further. Nimble fingers lift scissors, sharp steel, steady hands cutting away labels, liberating all that is tethered. Their self-portraits glimmer and then fade. The artist captures each moment, scoops up the fragility, breathes life into it, then takes his temporary snapshot, this glimpse of humanity, and painstakingly crafts it into something that will outlive us all. The artist draws us closer, invites us to observe the men. The silence is almost spiritual. As we inhale each portrait, the subject gets unpicked. The model stretches, no longer bound by canvas, no longer trapped under the weight of the unspoken. He stands before us, living and breathing, the rise and fall of his chest, the lustre of his skin. He walks among us, listening as we deconstruct his life, fingering the bias. He wears the pride of recognition at the corner of his mouth. The art punctures through to the core, and the colours bleed out. The writer's stories flicker and burn. They dance before us, weaving themselves around the man's fingers, wrapping his limbs in solidarity, longing, envy, compassion. The needle breaks through to the other side. We wear our stories on our skin.